Well, once again, we meet on News in Focus. I'm Linda Alela Mathambu, and as always, I say many thanks for always keeping it Ebru Africa. Now, today, we're going to talk about the impact of political elections in East Africa, and of course, also the preparation. We all know that we are, preparing for the elections come next year, and indeed, we have pros and cons to all this. And the reason why we are here today is that at least we would look at two particular areas that have been affected or are being boosted by the elections, that we are expecting. So we're going to touch on matters tourism and also matters education. We have specialists on board. We have, on my farthest end, there is Juliet Kimemia, who's a specialist in education. She is a lecturer at the University of JKUAT, of course, Jomo Kenyatta International University. Is it Jomo Kenyatta?
University of Agriculture
and Technology. And she is also a National Coordinator, Association of African Women for Research and Development. She is the coordinator, right? And of course, right next to her is Madam Ellen Vergy. Estelle Vergy, yeah? Yes. Madam Estelle Vergy is the Managing Director, Jovago East Africa. Jovago East Africa deals with matters tourism. Indeed, you're going to tell us more about all this and why you think that the elections, the preparations in East Africa generally. The other day we had elections in Tanzania. The other day we had elections in Uganda. And of course, we are also expecting elections in Kenya. And amid that, we are also preparing. So amid the preparations, you find that the tourism sector has also been highly affected, I would say, as now, and we also have the education, the connection between all these. So the three of them at some point will cross-cut, and we need to understand what are the effects, and if there are any effects, if they are negative or positive, how do we work on the negative ones? So many thanks for finding time to be here. Karibu, I don't know if you know what Karibu means. Of course, by now you should be knowing, yeah? I mean, being in the industry, in the tourism industry and all that. So once again, of course, we'll need to hear your voices. Basically, just tell us something small about what is it that you do so that we get the assurance that this is the right person to speak about matters tourism and also the right person to speak about matters education.
So I think in the tourism industry, at jovago.com, we clearly see the trends and the impact of the elections. Jovago.com, as you may know, it's the leading hotel booking website in Africa. So we work with a very large network of hotels, over 25,000 hotels in Africa. And so we have many people booking our hotels every day. And so we see that towards the election date, we see that there are three main effects. We see that before the election, there is an increase of travel. People are either coming back to their country to vote, or are either, a bit scared of the situation, and then they are leaving, which is good for the regional tourism, which is one of the biggest trends in the tourism industry in Africa. Then we see another effect, which is during the election time, usually it's very calm. The week of the election, usually we see a decrease of booking. We've seen this in Uganda and in Tanzania, decrease of booking of about 60%. So a very sharp decrease of bookings. But then it's all about the communication. So how fast the country is going to go up the hill of the tourism industry, it really depends on the communication. And so, for instance, we see in Uganda recently, they had some communication campaigns on social media, in the traditional media also, to reassure the population, the visitors from Uganda, from East Africa, and from the whole world, that Uganda is safe. And so they are able to get back to the normal trend very quite quickly, I would say. Now we are back to almost the normal data.
All right, now to you, Madam Juliet Kimemia. Why do you think matters education would be the right person to tell us that, okay, yes, the elections have come on board, which is a good thing, but then these are the effects that is bringing to the education sector, or maybe these are the good things that it is bringing on board to the education sector?
Thank you, Linda. Education is both formal and informal, and I will comment on those two types of education because they are very important at this time. When we look at formally, there is a constitutional requirement right now that anybody who is seeking an elective position must possess a degree for MPs, a diploma for members of the county assembly. Because of responding to that constitutional requirement, JKUAT innovated. It's a college of innovations. Innovated very focused course, starting at diploma in county governance. because, you know, the whole dispensation of devolution was new to everybody, including the lecturers, and it's new to every Kenyan. And therefore, there was need for a very targeted curriculum development process. So and the university sat down and rolled out. 2012, we got 1,000 applicants, and all of them came paid, you know, most of them aspirants.
Yes.
So they came paid, and they went to class, but they're driven by this requirement, not by the objectives of having the papers, because when you have a degree, then you have the right knowledge, you have the right skills, and you have the right attitude.
Yeah.
So they were not driven by that, most of them. So along the way, somebody went to court and challenged the constitutional requirement that they must have a degree for them to be either senators or members of parliament. And it was justified because the constitution was promulgated in 2010, and therefore it's not practically possible for anybody to get a degree in 2012. So the High Court ruled, and it was in favor. They were told, okay, fine, we will let this pass because of that awkwardness.
Yes.
But the next elections, you must.
Yes.
So what happened? Out of the 1,000, massive dropout. We were left with 80 students. So 8 students are the ones who completed the diploma.
The courses, yeah.
And out of the 80, 15 proceeded to obtain degrees. So when you look at that requirement, the value that it's supposed to add versus the intake, there is a big problem. And fortunately or unfortunately, out of the 1,000 that dropped off, almost all of them are sitting members of parliament. They're sitting in the Senate. They're sitting in the county assembly. What does that tell you? That we have a serious educational crisis in the people who make decisions for us. Now, 2017 is around the corner, and there are those who have realized, I need to vie, and the university has started receiving very serious applicants, driven by this requirement. So, as an interested party, both ways, because I have very serious interest in politics, and at the same time, I'm a serious academician. And I love lecturing. So it bothers me. Why right now the demand has gone up, and for the last 3 years, it's gone quiet. So we have an issue, Linda.
Yes, indeed, we have issues,
a big issue
in the education sector and in the tourism sector. And the reason why I decided that today we should do matters education in tourism sector is because I wanted us act this, you know, like you are the specialist in matters education, and we should act like, you know, the general, the civilian fella, you know, that's a general citizen, and then we also, I mean, brainstorm in matters education, and same applies to this other end. She's a specialist in matters tourism, so we are expecting to act like citizens, me and you, and you know, we just brainstorm and speak generally. So that's basically it. Before we go to education, maybe Estelle, you can tell us, you've been here maybe in Kenya while we're doing elections, maybe in Tanzania and Uganda and everything, and probably your mom country, you know, where you come from and all that. What is this different impact that elections cause, you know, here as compared to your home area?
I think the main difference is really the communication, and the fact that you know, we really need to make people feel safe, and I think there is always this fear, and it's not really justified, I think. And I remember last political elections in Kenya. Even myself, I went abroad.
You ran away
from
the 2011. Oh my goodness!
Coming back quite fast. Actually, I went to Djibouti, and then there were riots in Djibouti. So
and then you
I would have
to
been safer in Nairobi. But I think there is lots of fears which are not really you know, based on very serious facts.
Strong ground and
so I think it's all about communication and making sure that before the elections there is already like a lot of discussion about security and that people feel safe staying in their country and voting and then the issues that we experienced in Kenya last time, in Tanzania and in Uganda, in the tourism industry, will be really reduced. So it's very important to communicate, to prepare, communicate, and communicate before, communicate during the election, and also after.
Indeed, that will bring us to the topic of importance of civic education. Exactly. But of course, that will come last after we've tackled matters tourism and education. So we start by matters tourism now that she's seated right next to me, and now we talk about like generally in East Africa, what are these great impacts that the elections brought on board and are still actually bringing on board?
I think also before the elections there is lots of interest about about the country. So there is you see it's a great time for the country to show off, I would say. Yeah. It's because it's the time where all the projectors, all the media from all over the world are looking, let's say, at Kenya, and it's the time to talk very positively about the country, really inspire the people from all over the world to come and discover this beautiful country. So I see it really as an opportunity. There are some risks that we've mentioned already, but I see it as an opportunity. When you have all the media attention, it's the time to make your country shine and really attract tourists and business travelers for the next months.
And indeed, we agree that tourism is one of the key things, among the top three.
An economic driver.
An economic driver, yes. So, it is so bad when it is affected. And let's talk about, generally in Tanzania and Uganda. You also work there. You also have offices down there. What is it that worked out different that you would tell Kenyans not to do, or you would tell Kenyans to do to ensure that we are safe, especially now that we are headed to the elections?
So I think what we've seen a positive action from Uganda is really the promoting Uganda on social media just after the elections, to really emphasize on the fact that it was safe, all went well, and people should continue to come. So I think we really need to communicate, and as Jovago, we always have this ambition, to make Africa shine, to show to the rest of the world, to show to people in other African countries that it's a beautiful destination and that they should come. So we continuously communicate on social media, on our blog. We send also SMS to our customers, potential customers, also to give them also this aspiration for travel. So I think we need to make sure that during the next election we communicate and we will be here to support the government on at that time.
Awesome. Now, to you, Madam Juliet, of course, we're talking about tourism and all that. And as much as maybe we speak about tourism and we think, tourists coming on board, people from other countries coming on board and everything, amid the preparations and all that, we also have movements, internal movements, like maybe students moving from this place to the tourism. What would you say? Like, is it really fair for, because for them, it's we also have internal movements and everything. If we have bookings, the better for us. What do you think about that?
In terms of linking it with education, or
fine, no problem. You can equally link it with education.
Yeah, you all of us know the role tourism plays, and if you go to all universities, they are running courses.
Tourism
there is courses. Tourism, there is hospitality, hotel management, guest relations, public relations, and all this. So the education system in Kenya recognizes the importance of linking education to education is the social sector with the economic sector, so that there is sustainable development in that cuts across all the sectors. Because when we calculate the GDP, we look at education, we look at tourism, we look at agriculture, we look at health, and we do our
roundup.
Those economists of Kenya do their mathematics, and they tell us today, this year, the economy grew to double digit. We are still headed there. So tourism, I think all the sectors beg for a stable tourism sector. And tourism has serious spiral effect. Because, you know, when hotels are fully booked, it means the youth is employed, and it means special skills are being developed. Utalii College is busy. Students get attachment, and you know, it's a beautiful cycle. So in this, because we are now in the pre-election period, the concern of, I think, all sectors is we maintain the confidence that we need in our tourism sector. So education then plays the role of communication, like what you're saying, communicating the right messages, interrogating travel bans, because why would Germany say, don't come to Kenya, and they were hit the other day. So we interrogate those messages, we unpack them, and we also do counter, you know, when you're doing public relations, we also do positive propaganda. We need to work together as the two sectors to ensure that the right messages are sent, negative messages are countered with, you know, doing SWOT analysis. There is nothing that is perfect. So everything has its strengths, it has its weaknesses, its opportunities, and the threats. So when we upscale the strengths and opportunities, then all those travel bans then will lose in terms of their impact. Then I like the policy right now of promoting local tourism, conferencing tourism, and then ecotourism. Every county must assess their assets, their resources, and develop county-specific tourism, a tourism agenda. So if you go to Wajir has very many hills. Then they have the right resources for tourism to make it attractive for Kenyans. Because I've never been to Wajir. I'm sure, Linda, you have never been.
So I've never been there, honestly.
So we need education that is not just book, pen and paper, but education that looks at attitudes and matching assets and resources.
Yes, I'd want to know, would this education really, you know, be very, very effective? For instance, in 2008 to 2007 elections, you know, we got this big blue, especially in the tourism sector. It was a big, big blue, and indeed, Kenya's reputation was kind of tainted, you know. So bringing back the things to equilibrium would be a bit tricky. Do you really, really think that, you know, this word of mouth, you know, this assurance would be good enough?
I think there are two things that we need to rely on. We need to communicate, as I said, but also we need to diversify the source market of the tourism industry. I think it was Kenya was badly impacted by the travel bans, but we have to see it as an opportunity. I think it was an opportunity for Kenya to now start focusing on local and regional tourism. And this is a market which is much more stable. It's a market which really understands what are the threats, what are the opportunities. They have a better understanding. And they are the market, the local and regional market, these are the fastest growing market. The middle class in East Africa, by 2030, will have tripled. You know? So we are in the fastest growing region. We are in a region with lots of diversity. It has all it takes for regional tourists to visit different places and support the tourism industry. And I'm very happy to see that really we have more and more Kenyans, you know, really proud of their country and becoming ambassadors of their country. And that's what we need, you know. In each country is so different, and inside each country there is so much diversity. We need each person to really be an ambassador of their country, of their region. And at Jovago, we see now that we have 90% of our customers who are people from Africa. So, you know, it's...
At least there's that assurance.
So we see that there is a big market for regional and local tourism. And we are very happy about this. It's also, when we think about tourism, it is also a great school, you know? Traveling from one country to another opens your mind. It then, if you travel maybe for leisure once, and you discover that in Uganda, you know, they are liking these services, then next time maybe you will think, my business in Kenya, I can easily expand it to Uganda, because actually I see the need. So it opens business opportunity. It also opens the mind. It's helped people to better understand each other, and I think it has really a very, very great impact on the tourism industry, but also on the business generally.
Okay, I mean, Julia, she's talking about diversifying, you know, the markets and all that, which is something that has not been quite done, you know, in the country and everything. In layman's language, you know, like generally, what do you think are some of the strategies that would be placed on board to ensure that at least we get to diversify the market, you know, to regional, to international and all that, you know?
I think, like
She
has ably said, communication is the key.
Yes.
And communication that is structured, well thought out. Like what I was saying, every county now has a mandate, and it is one of the indicators. How far have you gone in developing tourism? So, you know, they have to do systematic approach. They must research what are our assets, what are our resources, how do we exploit them so that Kenyans, East Africans can come and enjoy our beautiful scenery and diversity. So if you go to Nakuru, Nakuru is endowed with many lakes, flamingos, which are said to be dying. So what is the county of Nakuru doing to preserve the species and even bring in new, introducing, being innovative? Nairobi is rated as a very unique city. It has a park in its heart. So what can we do to make this park of ours here really maximize? So we really have to think entrepreneurially. And it has to start as soon as a baby leaves the stomach, in the education processes. You as mother must show the baby that you have so much resources around you. The resources are in our hands.
In our hands,
And as we progress in generations, those of us who missed something as we grew up, belong to a category called Serikari's idea. So right now, education is about...
It's crucial.
No, you cannot keep saying, government help us. What you need to do is to change your language. Tell the Serikari, we have this beautiful river. We know there's a budget for environment. Can you help us? We write this proposal, and can the government intervene with us as communities? We clean this river, we create dams, we build nice hotels around there, and we have promoted the tourism.
Indeed. And I think I'll ask you this simple question before we go for break. And of course, we're also going to come to matters, you know, where, you know, repetitive customers and all that. That could be actually a big problem towards that. In your own perspective, what are some of the things, or what is this particular thing that you think as a country Kenya should work on to ensure that, I mean, when you call in customers, they'll be satisfied or they'll get a whole different experience?
I think at drovago.com, what we try to do is bring visibility. So we bring visibility on all the destinations. We make it very easy for customers to come to our website and, you know, choose from, like, let's say they want to go to Kakamega, then they see all the options available in Kakamega, all the different hotels. They see real pictures. They see negotiated rates. So, you know, we really make an effort to make travel less expensive, and we make a big effort to make travel easy. So within 4 clicks, you know, on our website, they can book their hotel. So we want technology to help the tourism industry. And so that's one of the things that we are doing, making it easy and affordable for Kenyans to travel and giving them the visibility on all the options that they have to travel. And then I think it's very important for each and every Kenyan to be an ambassador of their country, as I said. Recently, we've launched a social media campaign, which is Kenya Yetu, and basically we ask each and everyone to post pictures on social media of beautiful places in Kenya. And that's how I think, you know, with little actions like this, that's how we can make the country shine. That's how we can inspire people and support the growth of the tourism industry.
All right, indeed. Yes, we need to all be ambassadors of our beautiful country. We're talking about the impacts of the political, you know, elections in East Africa. So you need not to go anywhere. This is News in Focus. We'll be right back after this short break.